McJury.
Hey.
Well, honey, here I go again. Well, down that crooked road of sin. My mama locked me out again. Me high to rust under the rain. Well, I am numb. I am numb. I am numb. I am numb. When I sing my stranger blues, I make it on the local news. Everybody likes to see you lose. Then hang you high to rust under the rain. Well, I am numb. I am numb. I am numb. I am numb. Little bluebird out my window, sing a pretty song for me. Don't you know that you can fly, fly, fly away? Don't you know that you can leave? Well, I am numb. 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 I am numb.
McJury, it's also the title of your first album.
It is.
Were you too lazy to find a real title, or it's more to tell that what's inside it's really, really you?
I was being lazy. I wasn't being very clever, but yeah, I think I went with it initially, or I think I went with it because the songs are so autobiographical that it kind of made sense for that to be a starting point, I guess, with the name of the album.
There's quite a lot of piano on the album. You seem to be more a piano guy than a guitar guy.
Mm-hmm.
Was it with the piano? Was it a personal choice, or it's more your parents who push you when you were like a little boy to take some piano lessons?
Yeah, they totally pushed me.
You were reluctant, or you?
Yeah, I was reluctant to take piano when I was that age. But by the time I was a teenager and became really interested in songwriting, I'm really glad I had that kind of foundation to fall back on, because I really wanted to learn piano to become comfortable kind of accompanying myself on an instrument, so I could sing my songs live and, could continue to write and stuff.
Your parents, what was in the air at home? What kind of music they were listening to? And
all kinds of stuff. Like, my dad played a lot of old bluegrass and old country, so like Hank Williams, George Jones, Ralph Stanley, but he was also into a lot of stuff like Elvis Costello, kind of other new wave bands. My mom was really into like Al Green and
It's a good school, actually. It seems to be a good school. Your parents, your
yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I grew up with really cool music, so you know, I'm fortunate in that sense.
You remember the first albums that you really picked yourself, that really was a personal choice more than something that your parents were listening to?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, the first real album I became obsessed with was Harvest by Neil Young, which my mom gave to me for Christmas one year. But I think it was the first album that really spoke to me sort of on a different level. You know, up until that point, I kind of listened to music passively, you know, what my parents played, what was on the radio. But with that record, sort of, it really resonated with me, sort of, you know, the content of the lyrics, the vulnerability of his voice, the rawness of the music, the arrangements, kind of how beautiful it was, but also it was simple, and it cut really deep. So I think that was the first record where something special happened, I think, in terms of me and my relationship with music.
You tried the guitar too at that time, or you were still playing only the piano?
I mean, I would pick up the guitar once in a while, but you know, I had no idea what I was doing, so I kind of just gravitated towards the piano. Yeah.
You think that all this musical environment had a certain influence on the fact that you wanted to do music, to play some music, and maybe not at that time doing it for like making a living, but to go further on?
I think so. I mean, my parents always encouraged the arts and stuff, and wanted me to pursue what would make me happy. And also, it was a very musical household, and so I think that kind of stuff sneaks into sort of your psyche and really does determine, I think, what you do later in life. So yeah, I do.
So when do you move from this world to writing your own personal stuff?
Yeah,
was it suddenly, or it was step by step, or?
No, it was step by step. You know, I think I wrote my first song, which was terrible, when I was like 13, and there was like a local teacher who kind of taught songwriting that was friends with my mom, and so he kind of like came over and we had classes and classes, but it was kind of a nice informal way to introduce kind of the process of songwriting to me. And then I think, you know, I kind of chipped away at it over a few years and never played my songs live, but I played piano in bands around town, so I would play live, but not my songs, just keys. And I think I saved up money working a job and got some studio time and recorded a demo, you know, when I was about 17 or 18, and kind of sent it around to see if, you know, to try to gauge if people were into it. And you know, on one of the songs in particular, I got, you know, some decent feedback, and so I kind of realized that, you know, if I focused and I worked really hard, I could maybe, you know, do this for a living. Yeah.
Remember when the first song you were like a little bit proud of? Because you said the first one was terrible. But you remember the first songs that you say, oh, that one's not that bad? I
think it's actually that song that I wrote when I was 17 or 18.
Oh, okay.
It was called Rhythm of the Rain. I've never released it, and I don't think I will, but I mean, I think...
Hidden track on the second album.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that, you know, it was the first track I really recorded and really, like, arranged, kind of, and it was the first track I paid really attention to, like, making sure it had, you know, a verse and a chorus and a nice middle eight, and it was catchy, you know, or at least I thought it was catchy. So I think that was the first song that I finished and listened to and was like, it's not bad. Yeah.
When we're listening to your album, there's a temptation to do like a kind of big name droppings of things from the 70s, like, I don't know, from Graham Parsons to Randy Newman to Neil Young, or to early Elton John. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, even soul and country music.
Yeah.
All that stuff, I guess, was like the seed of your songwriting, all these influences, you think?
Yeah, that's totally fair. I mean, all of those artists I hold in really high regard, so they definitely influenced and inspired, you know, the album in a lot of ways, as well as other artists, you know, that maybe aren't so directly connected to what my music sounds like, but yeah.
How are you dealing with all these influences in general? I mean, you try to avoid them, or you try to deal with them? I mean, to show your own personal voice and just to show that you're not just like a copy or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be a difficult thing. It's obviously an important thing to have, you know, your own singular voice. And and I attempted, to make an effort to sort of separate myself from those people in a sense, to modernize the record a little bit in terms of production values or maybe even lyrical content, kind of place almost what they were doing, or trying to place almost what they were doing in kind of this year, in terms of like, bass sounds and drum sounds and sampling and, using the computer to your advantage.
Yeah, it shows that it doesn't sound like a 70s album.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I tried to do, but yeah.
Talking about soul music, there's like this gospel core in it. I mean, this example, is it something that you had in mind when you wrote the songs? I mean, even all the instrumentation in general or production ideas, is it something that you have in mind when you write your songs, or it's more ideas who come during the recording in the studio?
Sure. Well, for example, if you take Numb, when I wrote the song, I had no idea how I wanted to record it, or if I would record it. I just kind of wrote it on the acoustic guitar, and kind of put it aside for a few years, to be honest. But when I started to record the album, I knew that I wanted to have this sort of gospel element included in it, because I was really into gospel music at the time, and still am when we were recording it, and a lot of soul music. And I thought that kind of vocal counterpart, or that choir kind of element, I thought could be a nice contrast to sort of the, sometimes the gloominess almost, or sadness of the songs. And I thought it would give it kind of a sense of celebration and hope if we kind of added this type of arrangement with the music. And so, I hadn't even planned on recording them for the album, but I played it for the producer I was working with, Inflow, and we kind of, that day arranged a version of it that had this gospel element. And when the day was finished, we thought that it really worked. It was an experiment, but we were kind of in a stage where we were experimenting, and kind of nothing was sacred with the songs. We were like, we'll eat them up, spit them out, rewrite them, whatever we have to do to have them kind of make sense and come across in a recording. And so yeah, we experimented with that and had the arrangement with the gospel singers and stuff, and we thought this could be a really cool direction to go, because it seems to make sense and benefit the song. And so from that point on, I knew that the rest of the album, I kind of wanted to thread that together with those elements, yeah.
What kind of songwriter are you? Are you very productive? Do you write tons of songs, or you have like phases, or?
I do have phases, absolutely. I mean, for the album, I think we had 40 demos about, recorded 20, chose 11, but the way I write is kind of like, there can be a month or two where I'm completely dry, like I don't have any ideas. And the last thing on earth I could do is write a song. But then I can wake up one day and go, I just really feel like writing a song for whatever reason, and write 3 or 4 songs in a day. So I'm kind of a binge writer like that, but I try to write every day, but it's difficult for me.
You think that the best songs are the one you write in 5 minutes, just like that? Or it depends?
I think it depends, kind of. I mean, those are the ones I don't get sick of, if that makes sense. I don't know, if you're chipping away at a song and you're working on it for like months on end, by the time you're finished with it, it kind of feels like, it feels like a job almost. But if you just have this one idea and it kind of comes to you and you write it almost in the time it takes to play it, it feels like it'll never really get old, because it doesn't even really feel like yours. It kind of feels like somebody gave it to you in a sense. But
I heard that you went to Berkeley School of Music and it didn't get that, the experiments was not that great.
It wasn't that great for me. I just thought that.
But actually, what were you expecting from that kind of school? You don't think that records, for example, are the best school in a way?
Yeah, I thought that it would. I just thought the environment would be different. I thought it would be more collaborative and
artistic.
Yeah, artistic, exactly, and friendly. But it was really competitive and cutthroat, and I feel like I didn't really fit in that environment, and that was challenging for me. And I mean, my professors were great. I learned so much, and I made some of my best friends there. But I think ultimately, it felt hard for me. Another thing was, I'm going to class all day to write songs and work on music, and so, for assignments. And kind of the last thing I wanted to do when I got home and at night was like work on my music, because I'd been working on it all day. So that was kind of an interesting, you know, component of going to school for music. And at the same time, you know, it's just the nature of the beast, but they have to grade you in some capacity. And I think it's difficult to grade songwriting, you know, to like kind of put a letter grade on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, traveling all over the world, playing everywhere, expose your songs to, which are very personal, to a huge audience.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that now? I mean, is it a mix of excitement and of stress or something? Or?
Yeah, both. I mean, you know, early on, it was all very nerve-wracking for me, because it was just a whole new world that I was entering and that I didn't quite have my hands around. But now I find it really exciting. I mean, it is stressful. I think the big thing about like playing a show or kind of, you know, pouring yourself out emotionally in that sense is it can be really draining. So, you know, after a gig or something, I'm kind of, you know, hyped up all day and excited, and then after the show's done, I'm just kind of like exhausted from doing it. Yeah. But I find it all very exciting, and yeah.
Do you think songwriting is like it's a good shrink?
I think so. I think it's free at least, but yeah, it is a good shrink, I think.
What are you the most proud about this first album? I mean, apart from the fact that it's first album, it was released and all that, which is a big thing. But is there something in particular that you're more proud of?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is, you know, we had a session in New York, and then basically I took, you know, what I learned from that session and what I did in that session, and basically took it home and recorded the rest of the album at home. And I think what I'm most proud of is all the work we did to have it make sense as an album together. You know, I don't think the songs I recorded at home versus the songs I recorded at Electric Lady necessarily sound out of place, and so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of all the kind of hard work I think we put in making sure that it sounded like, you know, a record as opposed to 11 different songs randomly put together.
You're a big music addict, if I understand.
Yeah, huge.
What was your last recent and new obsessions, stuff you discovered recently?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I just found this band called the Roches. It's like Loudon Wainwright III's wife or something, and they had a kid. But they have this like folk band from the early 80s, I think, and it's like three sisters, I think. And they have a song called The Hammond Song, and I think it was produced by, I can't remember his name, but the guy in King Crimson, and he plays guitar on it too. And the
Robert Fripp?
Yeah, Robert Fripp, exactly, yeah. And he plays guitar on it, and it's like acoustic, but the arrangement's kind of wacky and quirky, and he's playing guitar, and it's really cool. And then in the van, I've been listening to Bad Bad Not Good, I think is the name, which I'd never heard of, so I still don't know a lot about them, but the guys were playing it, and I was really into it. And then we went back to Frank Ocean's Channel Orange, which I've always loved, but just recently I've kind of rediscovered it, and yeah, there's some really good songs on there.
You already have in mind your second album?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of trying to think about who I'd like to work with or what the songs are going to sound like, but I think I'm going to try to start recording it this fall, so yeah, thinking about it.
Okay. Merci, Mac-Jury.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't you see me trying to do better? Find it's easy just to say that you're through. Don't make excuses. We can get through this.